Hey friends, welcome back to Kiki's Closet. Today we're chatting with Artistic Director of Theater Under the Stars, Director of Sister Act, and Tony nominee Dan Knechtges. Let's go!
Come on and come and play in Kiki's Closet today!
Hey everybody, here with me today is Dan Knechtges, Tony nominee, also my very first in-person interview. All the interviews before have been on Zoom, so I'm very excited to chat with you today.
We're both vaccinated.
We're both vaccinated.
We've been tested.
Tested, yes. Dan, how are you?
I am feeling great after we opened the show.
Right.
It was rough just trying to get everything up during COVID. Relearning how to direct, relearning how to choreograph, relearning how to talk to dancers and singers and actors, and then also balancing all the administrative stuff behind it. It was a lot.
Because the protocols, it just changed the rehearsal process completely. Not being able to, meeting new people, but not being able to see anybody was like, that was hard. Making
Really
first impressions
difficult.
with a mask on. It's like, how do we do that?
How do you kiss for the first time? Where like rehearsal, you kind of create that safe space, so when you get on stage, you're good to go.
Right.
But we had to create the safe space on the stage in a weird way. That was hard.
So you're originally from Cleveland, Ohio.
I am.
Do you remember your first memory of seeing theater?
My sister took dance, and I went. It was just like chorus.
Chorus line.
Just exactly like, and it was up a steep and very narrow stairway. Why they put these dance studios on the third floor. I remember seeing her in a dance concert and I thought, oh my God, she got so much attention. That's what I want to do. And it was about attention, I think deep down inside. But then I actually really liked it and I was much better than my sister. Don't tell her. Then that dance teacher, her daughter was one of the original Peggy Sawyers in 42nd Street. And she came through in 42nd Street and my parents took us, and I remember seeing like all that tap dancing and like tap dancing on dimes, and like I wanted to write a musical after that because I was like, oh, this seems easy. Party har har.
How long was it before you knew that like this is what you wanted to do as a career?
Probably high school. I knew I wanted my name in lights is really what I wanted. But in high school, I choreographed. In college, I directed and choreographed. And I knew that that's eventually where I was going to go because I think it's more intellectual on my side of the table than it is on the actor's side.
It is.
And I'm very, very stimulated in that way creatively. Whereas I can't do matinees anymore. Like, I don't know how you do that.
So then you got your degree in musical theater, BFA at Otterbein. And then to New York. But if you were already directing and choreographing in high school and college, the transition to doing that as your career, that must not have been that hard.
No, I mean, it was really hard, moving to New York. And I mean, looking back at it, it's hard, but at the time I was like, oh, I have no money, but I'm eating peanut butter and jelly for dinner and loving it. It's like I was taking class all the time. I was seeing shows for free. I mean, that's sort of the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. It's like you go to New York and you find all the ways to get cheap tickets or standing room or a free ticket. Or back in the old days, you could second act it. It was like the time of my life. Within the first year, I had met most of the people that really propelled me as an artist. One person in particular, his name's Kevin Moriarty. He's artistic director at Dallas Theater Center now. But we did 1 week summer stock together. And I choreographed, he directed.
Wow.
It just opened my way up of thinking about choreographing and then watching him direct in such a crazy way, but like so smart. It really helped me because he then got an artistic director job. He brought me with him. The way you behave and the way that you bond with those people, those skills are as important as your craft.
Agreed, yeah.
And also, if you're a good person to work with, people will ask you to come work for them. And they did. And then Spelling Bee happened. That really was the game changer. It was really all of the things that I had kind of learned about how to put myself into my work and also make the work myself in a weird way.
That's the perfect show for that because all those characters are so zany and have these specific personalities, and you probably have the opportunity to really put yourself into it.
Oh yeah, well, and the other thing too is that like I've discovered that I knew how to choreograph non-dancers and make them
So
look
important. So important.
really
Yeah.
good. And I kept stressing forever that, like, will I ever get a chance to work with, like, real dancers? I'll never get a Broadway show. I'll never get. And sure enough, the Broadway show I got was non-dancers.
Right.
So it really kind of paid off.
2 years later, you got 3 shows running on Broadway at the same time.
That was fun.
One Time in the Shade, Bellamy, and Xanadu.
Xanadu.
Was that like a moment in your life where you're like, wow, I'm really doing the thing?
Yes, but it's so funny. You know, you wish that forever, and then once you get there, it's like, I don't know, you don't really think that. You're too busy.
Right,
You're
right.
too tired. But it's great. I would love to have that again.
Yeah.
There's this book that I recommend to everybody. It's Twyla Tharp's The Creative Habit. And in that book, it's my Bible. They have an exercise that you begin with that's a creative autobiography. And one of the questions is exactly what you asked. Do you remember when you were first creative? Or the first work of art that you said, oh, I want to do this. But at the end, it said, where would you like to be 10 years from now? I wrote, I want to direct and choreograph an original musical on Broadway. Cut to 7 years later, Lysistrata Jones happened. And everyone's like, oh, you manifested it. I was like, I didn't really manifest it, but it does kind of put it in the forefront, and you at least I do, I kind of drive towards
always.
It was really wonderful to just be so entrenched in creating it. I think that direction and choreography in musicals, it's visual text. And I do believe that on Lysistrata Jones, that what we did, that choreography team, myself, Jessica Hartman, Charlie Sutton as the dance captain, but all of the cast really, what we created was a visual text that helped inform the show, entertain, give story, was very humorous at times. And it was so thrilling to get to do that on something that I also directed.
Now you're in a completely different area now as artistic director at Theater of the Stars. You've been here since 2017. What has that been like, getting to oversee an entire season?
It's crazy. It's really a Jenga puzzle of trying to fit certain things in, you know, budget being a huge one, but also will it sell? Is it offensive? I mean, my God, you would have thought Spring Awakening, you know, that we put on was the Antichrist. It's using a different creative part of my brain. It's not unlike directing a Broadway show. So much of what I did on that show, it was about 50% the art, but the other 50% is managing people and expectations and those things. And you kind of want to get it so it's less of that and more of the art. But that's life.
Right.
And I'm sure it's the same for actors too. You have to manage certain things, and then you've got the art.
So this is my first show here at Tuts, but what's been so wonderful is that this company is so diverse. And looking at Rock of Ages, the show before us, Sister Act, and then upcoming next, A Little Mermaid, so many of the casting choices is people of color playing roles that were written or predominantly played by white people. The conversations we've had over the last 18 months with the Black Lives Matter movement and underrepresentation, has that influenced the casting choices with upcoming seasons?
It's funny, it certainly has cemented. I wouldn't say it's changed because I'm just saying pandemic, but you know, you're right, it isn't the pandemic. It certainly, the movement became very pronounced with George Floyd's murder. However, pre that, we had been on a mission to make the shows reflect the community that we represent. And the community that we represent is the most diverse city in the United States. And it's right here that it's most diverse. Like, you can sit out in our breezeway and just coming by, you see every person of every sexuality, every non-gender conforming, size, every race, and it's wonderful. And it's one of the things that makes this city an amazing place to live and an amazing place to do musical theater, which in its roots was the most diverse art form at its time. So for us, it feels like not only the right thing, but it feels like the only choice we morally could do. Choosing the actors that we've chosen And it is a choice, so I'm not going to downplay that. But we got great artists. I don't want to diminish the movement because I know certainly for some theaters there's a lot of work that they have to do. But for us, it really is about getting the highest quality product. And getting the highest quality product is getting the most diverse cast. It's not different. It's one and the same thing.
And I really believe that Theater Under the Stars is the perfect example for theaters across the country and Broadway to look at as a prime example of what
Thank
theater
you.
can be.
That's really nice. Thank you.
Of course, it's true.
Yeah, it's great. I do have to give credit to Megan Larsh-Dominic, who was the Associate Artistic Director and Casting Director. She did cast these first 3 shows. And Monique Majette, who is the Associate Artistic Director now.
It's a great group of people here at Tuts.
Yeah.
It really is.
And there's more work we have to do in that, like, now the conversation has to be not just about the actors, it has to be about everybody behind the scenes. And we are making great strides, but we have so much more work to do.
I think we all do.
I guess, yeah, I know. I just keep dreaming about what that might be. Like, what a great place that is. And maybe then we change not just theater, we change the world.
And I will say that this being my first show back after the pandemic has given me so much hope. Just
good.
Seeing that the cast list for the very first time and seeing so much color really made me excited and proud to be here.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
That's nice.
thank you so much for chatting with me here today.
You're hired anytime you want to come back.
I'll take you up on that. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Come on and come and play in Kiki's closet today.